This meeting is being recorded.
Hello, I have Trevor with me. Hi, Trevor. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, my name's Trevor Lince. I'm from the northeast of England, originally from Mask by the Sea, about 18 miles north of Whitby. Live in Darlington now, and yeah, that's me.
Did you always know that you wanted to be a writer?
Oh, right, straight off the bat, no. I'm not your typical author, I wouldn't have thought. I'd read 7 books in my life when I had a dream. 6 months later, after telling that dream over and over, well, I had about 7 dreams one night, and after telling that dream over and over, was dead to write it. And it had grown a few arms and legs by then. Never written anything in my life, got an E in English, probably dyslexic, not been diagnosed, but I probably are. The only thing I had in my favour is I'm an IT consultant, so I know Microsoft Word like the back of my hand, and I used to teach Microsoft Word to a point because I was a trainer. So yeah, no, I had no aspirations to be a writer whatsoever.
I love, especially with guys, how a couple of books have come about as a result of a dare. It just amuses me. The things you do to prove a point is...
But my wife said to me on New Year's Day, she said, tell that story that you dreamt. And by that point, it was a whole heap of bullet points at the beginning, but because I told the story that many times, it had grown arms and legs, and like I said. And her statement to me was, I said, we told some friends New Year's Day, January the 1st, 2017, and around the dinner table, and then they said, you should write that. I said, I will one day. And I think my wife's words were, no, you won't, because you don't finish anything you start. And it was the day after. I was like, what are you doing? Write my book. So yeah, probably took that. I mean, but I'd never have done it if she hadn't said that. Weird thing was, I didn't know what I was doing. So I just started typing, and away I went. And yeah, it was, I'm sure we'll come on to it, but didn't really know what I was doing. Yeah, but it was so much fun. But I had the story there, you see. And I think if anybody wants to write a book, if you've got a story in your head, that's half the battle, isn't it? Getting it out of your head is the easy bit. Knowing what you're going to say is the hard bit.
Yeah, I think a lot of people that say they want to write say it's the idea that they have trouble with. So if you've got the idea, then yeah. And I think imagination is something I've been told you need to write, and then the rest of it can be polished later by editors and stuff. So
Totally agree with that.
Good stuff. That makes me feel better as well. Ideas I have, skills not so much. So when you did start writing, what did you find easier than you thought, and what did you find more difficult?
Found the whole process of writing quite easy, to be honest, which being a non-reader at the time might seem a little bit strange and a little bit arrogant. I'm hoping that's not the wrong word, but I just found it extremely easy to write a paragraph, and I'd already know what was happening in the next bit while I was writing the first bit. So my fingers just typing away, and I'm thinking, right, well, and then this would happen, and then this. So I suppose without any prior knowledge, and before I sat down at the keyboard, I didn't realize that I would be able to do that. So I don't think I ever stopped. You know, when I'm writing, I'll get to the end of and I've been writing my 3rd book today, and I'm just getting to the end of a paragraph, just straight to the next one, write the next chapter heading, straight in the next bit. Never ever sat at the end of a paragraph going, oh, I wonder what's next. Sort of already know. And it's very strange. I see it like a film in my head, and all I'm doing is relaying what I'm seeing, I suppose. I do have a whole heap of bullet points at the bottom of what I've dreamt, because I've dreamt all my books, and I just cross them off as I get to them. So I suppose that's the framework. But I don't really plan it. I just have them down there knowing where I'm heading, but I don't plan anything else. I just keep writing about bullet point 1 till I get to bullet point 2. And if that's, I think in my first book, the first bullet point I wrote, and I've got them somewhere of when I did it, of Room 119, is 20,000 words in. So I had to write 20,000 words of what I didn't dream to get to the first bit I dreamt, but because I knew what happened in the bit I dreamt, I knew what I had to cover to get to that point. Yeah. So I
Awesome.
find it quite easy. I don't know if that's a good thing to say, but yeah, I do. Yeah.
And what was harder than you expected?
Probably the hardest thing was after about 5 chapters, my wife read it and she went, "Oh my God, when did you learn how to write?" I have written training manuals before in IT, but that's very matter of fact and bullet point lists and things like that. The hardest thing I found initially, probably the only hard thing I found, was dialogue. I kept saying he said this and she said that, and then there's 2 people in the room, and I got trying to find different ways of saying said was really getting on my nerves. And then my wife bought me a John Grisham book. I can't even remember what the book's called. I thought, how the hell does he deal with dialogue? And then the penny dropped, because I don't read, I didn't get this. And the only books I had read were Terry Pratchett, really. My books are probably a little bit like Terry Pratchett because of that. But and then I realized if 2 people are in the room, you can say he said this and she said that. But once you've established that, you can just put line break in and have conversation. So I didn't know that. So I was looking at this John Grisham thing, thinking, well, he hasn't said who's saying. And I'm going, all right, it's obvious, isn't it? Because if it's on another line, it's a different person. And I didn't know that. So that was very amateurish. So then I rewrote those first 5 chapters, and that was a game changer for me. So I still do use descriptive elements about how people are saying things if it's required. But, you know, all of a sudden then I only had to do it when 3 people were in the room, or if I was trying to suggest it was in a certain tone or in a certain if there was a reason the person was asking the question, it needed embellishing a little bit. But until I did that, I didn't have a clue. I was like, and I'd written 5 chapters with trying to find these other words and just ripped it all out because I didn't need it. And it doesn't read as well, does it? You just want to, in your head, when you read, you just want to go, right, you just want to hear the dialogue. You don't want, unless it's necessary, you don't want me to tell you what I think, because I should have done that already, you know.
Yep. Other people that have written when they've either dreamt it or they picture it, the reviews generally show that and say that they'd make a good film or TV show. Have you had that reaction to your books?
Yeah, the script's written for Room 119. Our directors looked at it. Can't say too much. Can't say too much else. And if that kicks off, Funicular will probably be more of a Netflix TV series. It's a bit more Doctor Who. It isn't Doctor Who, but there's a bit more weird stuff going on that you know you've got to invest in it, and it would be. I suppose I watched Behind Her Eyes that Sarah Pinsborough wrote, and so I watched that on Netflix, and you've got to actually go with what happens. Otherwise, you just say, well, that would never happen. But if you're going to just say that, then there's no point writing it, you know. So in Funicular, there's some bits where you would say, yeah, well, that would never happen. But I think by the time you get to them points, you're so invested in the character that it would. And in Funicular especially, you are living. You may as well be the main character, because anything he finds out, you'll find out at exactly the same time. And you've got the ability of working out as well as what he has. So you'll have your own thoughts when things happen, going, oh, well, that could be this. But don't think you're on your own. You as the reader actually haven't got all the clues yet. And either you or the detective could work it out at the same time, ahead of each other, behind each other, you know. So that's a little bit more that type. But Room 119, yeah, there's been a few talks and there's a few people involved, and I can't really say much else. But a lot of the reviews have said it would make a fabulous film.
Yeah, I'm just interested. I know that a lot of people say usually they could see it as a film. So,
Bye.
If you were to take out one of your characters for a meal, who would you choose and what would you ask them?
Oh, well, you're good at this, aren't you?
I did warn you, to be fair. And you did say I could ask you anything.
My favourite character I've ever written, and he would be great at me as well, not for Why You Think, would be Benji the Clown in Room 119. The amount of people who fall in love with him. Normally, I'm head of the clown cheering party, because normally clowns get a bit of bad press, don't they, in books, because everyone's frightened to death of them. And you will be a bit scared of Benji, but you'll realize why he's doing things and how integral he is to. I've been asked to write. There's a reviewer on BookTube, and he went, "Do me a favor, Trevor, just write a prequel just with Benji and Bobo, please, and just let me have them in a whole book." So the amount of people who love him to death, and I do as well. I mean, he started in my head and he ended up on paper, and so I'd love to meet him.
What would you ask him?
Oh, I would ask him. That's a tricky one, because I don't want to give nothing away, but I suppose I would ask him how many other people he might have helped along the way, as well as our main character. Because although he doesn't feel like he's helping, he looks like he's not. He's got an amazing character arc of. He talks in puzzles, so he never answers. He answers every question he's given from our MC with a question. So he never tells him anything. He tells him, well, what do you think you're here for? So what am I here for? And he's going, well, what do you think you're here for? And then he's going, and then there's an episode in the clown's tent in the circus where he goes, in between Dean asking these really important questions about his life, he's going, red or yellow? And he's just holding two wigs up, and he's just not giving him a thing. So you've got this guy who hasn't got a clue what's going on. He's got a clown who knows his name somehow, and he's never met him. And he's giving him advice, but he's not giving him advice. He's refusing to give him advice, but he's asking him what he thinks to get him to give himself advice. So I'd like to meet him and see how many other people he met along the way. And there might be a prequel in there. If it gets made a film, I don't know. I quite like having standalone novels, but Benji the Clown, how the hell that came out of my head, I don't know.
Which of your books would you like to be picked up and transported as a character into?
Say that again.
Which of your books would you like to be picked up and transported as a character into?
It's my books. Room 119 is firstborn, isn't it? I love Funicular, but Room 119 is just. It was the thing that made me realise I might be all right at this, And yes, it would definitely be Room 119. Yeah.
Awesome. Are you gonna
make it all teary in a minute?
If it does get made into film or TV, you're gonna have a cameo?
Yeah. Okay. There's another part of the book where Dean, he ends up going into Room 119 3 times. It gets compared to Scrooge quite a lot. He has 3 visits to this hotel, and 3 distinctively different things happen to him. One of them, he ends up at his mum and dad's wedding. Can't tell you too much more about that, but he ends up in Whitby at his mum and dad's wedding. And the Masked Fisherman's Choir, who are a sea shanty fishing group who do exist, and I asked their permission if I could put them in. My dad was one of the early members in the 70s. And I used to go around watching my dad singing with all these choir blokes. All they were really doing was getting absolutely hammered every night. But it was an excuse to get to the pub and I'm going to choir practice. And you're thinking, yeah, all right, Dad, to come back hammered, but at least he'd sang a few songs. And so in the wedding, and I won't tell you what happens at the wedding, but the Masked Fisherman Choir perform. And my dad's dead now, but he sang Grimsby Lads solo on their first record. and he was in the choir for years, but that was the one he sang solo. So he used to always sing it at Tall Ships in Newcastle. I've seen him sing it there and stuff. So I actually put in that the choir, the announcer would go, right, and thanks, we're back, we've had a drink, and the next song, Mick's going to perform Grimsby Lads for you. So I put my dad in the book. So I always said to my film producer guy, I went, if it does get to the point where it's made, which is it was a million mile away, it's probably about a mile away now, you know, but that's still a mile, isn't it? Yeah, I'd be him. I'd be my dad, wouldn't I? You know, just little cameo, sing a few lines, probably grow a stupid beard, and wear a blue jumper. No one else will know it was my dad. It's just I would, and I do in the book. And obviously my mum, when she read it, oh my God, it was Mick. And so it was that was quite nice being able to do that. So I play him.
Oh, that's really lovely.
You are going to get me crying before the end of this.
I'll try not to. That isn't my intention. Okay. When you're editing, what's your most overused word or phrase?
I'm quite good at this now. I'll tell you why it's a difficult one for me to answer that, is because when I'm writing my book, I'll get to a point where I'll either have a break and I thought, I've got 3 or 4 days without doing it and I forgot what I've written. So I'll go back to the beginning and rewrite it. Right. And then what I'll do is, you know, after I've written about another 10 chapters, I'll go back to the beginning and rewrite it. So I always go back to the beginning, chapter 1, right at the beginning, and rewrite it. See if I've got to put anything in, to keep the story consistent, but also just continuously rewriting it. At Funicular, I got a lot better at that. So I'd rewritten by the time I got to the last chapter, the first chapter's been gone through 20 times. So I tend to spot things like that and get rid of them. So I don't think I overly use words. And if I do, I'm quite good, even though, like I say, I'm almost certainly dyslexic, but I think one of the things, it's weird when you're on the spectrum or you, I would imagine I'm autistic as well to some point because there were so many wacky things going on. I sort of spot that. So if I see a word that I've used the chapter before, I'll go, I've used that. And I'll just sort of know. And it's a bit weird. And I don't know how, and I'm not going to question how. It just sort of happens. To the point where I was telling you before we came on, about H.G. Wells using hither and thither. I said 10 times. He probably used it 3 times, but it really annoyed me because that term shouldn't be repeated multiple times in the same book. And it seemed to be at least 5 times, and I'm probably wrong. I should go back and count them. So I'm quite good. I spot a lot of that. One thing I do though is, because I'm from the north, I chop the beginnings of my sentences off a little bit. So instead of something this, I'll just start with the second word a lot. But because Dean in Room 119 and the copper actually is from London in Funicular, but all the northern characters, I try and leave that in because that's what I would do. So I tell my editor, this isn't an error. I'm chopping off the beginning of the words for the right reasons. Even to the point where when he would say in Dean in Room 119, oh, well, you know, I haven't seen my mum for ages. I said, Mum is not a mistake. She is a mum when you're up here. So his daughter always calls his mum mum, where Dean always calls his mum mam. And always when he's talking to his daughter, he always talks to his daughter as tell your mum, even though she calls him mum. So you've got all of that mix that you tell the editor, look, this isn't an error. But yeah, I don't think I repeat too much because I've probably gone through it that many times. It still needs editing because, I mean, they're like angels, aren't they? My editor's an angel, and what I used to say was my proofreaders is the tips of the wings. That's what it is. They're just unbelievable. You've still got to have the idea and you've got to get the essence of the story down, but they just correct some, especially for me. I think they feel sorry for me, thinking, oh my God. So anyway, I'll let you get into the question out. But yeah, I don't think I repeat too much. I think I'm quite good at that.
That's cool, actually. What advice would you give to anyone, especially if they think they're dyslexic and think, oh, I'd never be able to write a book because my spelling's terrible, for example? What would you tell them?
Well, I know you can get Grammarly as well now. But I use Microsoft Word. Luckily, I'm very good in Microsoft Word. When you spell something wrong, it'll underline it in red. The problem I've got is when I right click on the red word, it often can't give me an option because I've got the vowels that much in the wrong order that it hasn't got a clue. So then I change the vowels around a little bit, hoping to shed a bit of light on the detective story of what word I'm trying to spell. And then I'll go to Google and put it in Google, and it'll often give you an alternative. And if not, I'll change the whole sentence. That's where I get to. I just don't know how to spell some things. But I think Microsoft Word, and I spell words wrong different days as well. I'll have good days where I can spell because. I have other days where I'm not really good at because. I'm better at because now because I'm conscious that I'm not really good at spelling it. But it's that I'm really, really poor. But and well before I wrote any books, the fact that I'm an IT consultant means that I can use the IT to its benefit to help me out when I'm stuck on that type of thing. I'm not massively dyslexic though. I can read fine, read very slowly, but I can read fine. And it's just I think it's a cross between dyslexia and laziness, because I'm also very lazy when I'm writing, and I'll just write the word and think I'll fix that later because I know what it means. And then I've got a bit better at that. I generally right click on it at that time and try and get it right, because I've gone back that many times and sometimes don't even know what the word was the day after. So I'm not terrible, don't get me wrong, and I can spot mistakes. It's just I just don't know how to fix them. So I think I would take a Microsoft Word course. So as a bare minimum, you would know how the software can help you fix your spelling. As a bare minimum, I would do that. Yeah. Luckily, I've got that. But if I didn't, I don't think I'd ever write. If I had to write it down on paper, I wouldn't write a book. I couldn't do it. So luckily, I've got IT to protect me a little bit. I can format it all in IT. I formatted all my paperbacks with drop capitals and stuff. So I can do all of that. And to be honest, you've got to get it to a point where the editor can understand it, but you don't want to give them garbage. So I try and get rid of all the red lines before I give it to the editor at least. So she's got an idea. There was one word in funicular. He went fishing and he didn't want to go fishing. He stowed away on a fishing boat because he had to speak to this bloke. He got told to stow away on this fishing boat in Saltburn. And there's a thing called a thowel pin, which is the pin on the side of the boat where you put the oars on. And my dad's always said, because I've been fishing, my dad was a fisherman. We had a little wooden boat on Mask Beach. And he would say, put the oars on the thowel pin or tie that anchor off on the thowel pin. So I knew it was a word, but I didn't have a clue how to spell it. So I left it in thowel pin. And my editor went, can you give me a clue what this word is? I went, it's the thowel pin. And she went, can't find it anywhere. I've Googled every single spelling of that, can't find it. And she eventually found it. It's on the side of the boat where you put the oars. Yeah. And she went, right, you're calling it a thowel pin because when my dad's from in the Northeast, that's what he would have called it, a bit of Northeast Yorkshire slang. I think it's spelt THWALL. So it's not thowel, it's thwal. And she didn't have a clue. And eventually I think we changed it because we didn't know at that point. I didn't work it out by that point. We changed it to the pin on the side of the boat or something. Yeah, so you just got to live with some things, don't you? But yeah, back to your question. You know, as long as you can handle yourself in Microsoft Word and you can form paragraphs and listen to it when it's telling you wrong, just understand what the red underline is, understand what the green underline is, which means you probably missed a comma out or something. Then I think that's at least it's giving you a head start. Yeah.
But what has been your highlight so far since that very first day where you sat down at the computer to start writing to today? What stands out as the moment for you?
I've had 3 people say it's the best book I've ever read. Whether they're telling me the truth or not, I don't know. I know one of them is, because she's my #1 fan. But yeah, and then when people say it's the best book they've read all year and things like that, you're just like, wow. So it's the reviews, isn't it? When you get reviews, and the bad ones, the bad ones you take on the chin and try and learn from them. I didn't used to. I used to get a little bit miffed when someone gave me a bad review. Whereas I don't like, I've had a couple of 1-star reviews on Christmas Day with no comments. I think if you're going to give a 1-star, at least have the decency to tell the author that why you didn't like it. So yeah, and Amazon didn't used to allow that. They used to make you write a comment, and that stopped about a year and a half ago, didn't it? And now you can just give things 1 star. I got a very strange review the other day. I got a 3-star, no comment, on Goodreads. A 3-star, which I'm all right with. And then this guy's got 950 reviews, never made a comment ever, average 3. So that's a bit weird. He's got an average of 3, and now he's given me a 3. So I went and looked in his history. Every book he's ever rated is a 3. You're like, who is this person? So I think what he just does, he's using it to catalogue his books, because he's never read over a 3. He's never read under a 3, and he's read thousands of books. Yeah, and you're like, it's a bit strange, but the best thing
realise that he can just not review them or not rate them.
Yeah,
you can just put them on Goodreads.
I really don't. If you look on Goodreads, I don't know, but if you look on Goodreads, I think it's on Room 119, about 3 reviews ago, and every review's a 3, and you're thinking, strange individual. But each to their own. You know, you can't have a go. But yeah, the reviews is the best bit by a mile. If the film comes out, that might surpass that, but we'll see. It'd be nice to go to the Oscars.
Didn't you aim for like BAFTAs first? Is it BAFTAs and then?
Yeah, we'll do the BAFTAs first, and then we'll head off to the Oscars after that.
Practice run. Yeah.
Got to practice your speech, don't you?
Absolutely, and you know, dressing up and stuff, get the tux all, you know. Yeah.
The problem is I've had that many people who've said, oh my God, is it going to be a film? And I can't say too much about it, which I'm saying too much already. And they're going, can I come at the premiere? And I'm going, yeah, of course you can. But I think I've invited about 5,000 people at the premiere now. You know, and I'm probably going to get about 4 tickets or something. I'm like, oh my God, who am I going to let down? Because I've told everyone to go, because I never thought that would happen.
I want to come.
You can just be on. What I might do is book a cinema out somewhere else and have a premiere there, just for me, like a second premiere.
I think you need a big cinema still.
Yeah, invite everybody, honest, because I just didn't think it would happen, and it's getting closer and closer. I'm thinking, oh no. So we'll see.
Yeah,
it's still a mile away. But so anyway,
yeah.
No, let's talk about that.
Yeah, that's all right. No one knows. It's fine. If you're able to spend a day with any author, dead or alive, who would you like to spend a day with?
One that's alive would be a bit more fun.
Well, you'd like, we'd bring them back to life briefly.
All right, okay, right. Bear in mind, I don't read. Of 19 books now, but 7 of them were Terry Pratchett, and God bless his soul, he's dead. And I reckon if it wasn't for him, I read all 7 of them books when I was in the Falklands in 1992 in the Royal Air Force. So when I said I read 19 books, 7 of them were in a 4-month stint where I had nothing to do at the other end of the world. But I really, really did enjoy them and made me laugh. And the first time my books made me laugh, probably the first time my books made me cry, because I've never read anything before that. I didn't do English literature at school. I had to do remedial handwriting instead, because no one could read my writing. And yeah, it would have to be him, because I just thought his books were hilarious. All the Discworld novels, obviously, not all of them I've read, but it got me into reading for a bit, if nothing else, and then I stopped completely. And then I would imagine there's some homage to Terry Pratchett in Room 119. Definitely one character. It would be straight out of his type of thing. Yeah.
Have you made lots of author friends since you started writing?
Yes, but virtually. although you've got an amazing reading community on Facebook, there's also some nice writing community areas, and also in the reading community areas, there's a lot of independent authors who are lurking around, trying not to accidentally promote their book, but answering people, oh, there's a clown in my book. What's your book called? Not allowed to tell you. There's a lot of that going on. Yeah, so quite a few. I've also been to an author day in Newcastle. So yes, but I think it's more on the support front. There's this, and we do help each other. It's you know, we're not in competition. You know, you can like 2 books. You know, it's not like, oh, they're reading his book. Why are they reading my book? We're all in this together, you know. So yeah, I do talk to quite a few. Yeah, Simon Frant, he's quite active. He's always every time someone says, can you recommend me a book, he's often recommending mine. So that's lovely. I wouldn't have got an Audible book if it wasn't for him. He told me how to do it. And yeah, Louise Ross, I've met her in Newcastle. Met Malcolm Hellendrake, we talked about earlier on. So there's quite a few people I've met, but I'm probably not massively in them circles as much as what I probably should be. And early on, that would have been probably through, because I don't read, I felt like I didn't belong as much, but they're superb. I mean, any of them will help you do anything. They will. We're all in this together, and we know how it is. You know, it's not easy.
Yeah. Well, Malcolm's not a big reader either, is he? So
I don't know. I've only met him once, but we on Facebook we often like each other's stuff and stuff like that. Yeah, I didn't know he wasn't a big reader.
see, if you watch my interviews, you'd know because he tells me.
Okay, I'm going to be doing that.
I'm only joking, but he does. And I mean, I'm really good friends with him anyway, so he does read little bits, but
One
he
of
doesn't.
my 19 books is Malcolm's, actually. The Penultimate Man. I know it's only a short story. Is it not the Penultimate Man? Yeah, I think it is called. It's about the person before the last person who got killed before the war. He got killed after the war had finished, and it's all about him. And I think I said to Malcolm at the time, I think they should make people read that in schools. They really should. Wow, I think he gets it read out in some churches, doesn't he? At Remembrance Day. So I read that on holiday because I promised him I'd read one of his books, and it's only a short story, isn't it? But that's one number 19. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, he is an amazing author, an amazing person. So I've read all of his books, all of them, every single, and his short stories and anthologies. I love.
Yeah, I like his covers actually. When he got his covers rebranded, I quite like them.
Yeah. I love his voice as well. I love it when he reads out. It's like, oh, I could just listen to you talk for ages.
That's something I wouldn't dare do. I just don't think I would have the confidence of reading out loud. I've got the confidence sat here in front of you, and I'm an IT trainer or consultant now, but I used to be an IT trainer, so I stand in front of 30 people. I've got no problem with that, but that's unscripted. If I'm scripted and have to read, I really struggle, and that comes down to me. I'm just not a very quick reader, and then I'll miss words out. I didn't know what commas did before I started writing. So I generally don't breathe in the right place. When I got my book for my proofreader, I had semicolons in. I had to say, well, what are you doing? What do these do? I don't know what they did. So I suppose from an author point of view, I'm just a storyteller, and I will get it to a point where an editor can make it not stand out as if it hasn't been done properly. But the story's all there. It's all my words. It's just been tidied up. Yeah. I wouldn't dare do that. Well done, Malcolm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of us say the same. We'd listen to him read the phone book. It's just something about his voice. Mainly women, actually. But anyway, that's beside the point. Are you going to any of the book events this year? Are you going to any of the festivals or anything?
Not planning to. I should do, shouldn't I? Again, that's that inferiority complex where I think I don't belong, but I should probably do it. I've been to, I did a couple of book signings. My books are in Saltburn because one of them's set in Saltburn. And I've done a couple of book signings there, and even there I'm a bit awkward which is a bit weird, isn't it? You sat there signing a few books, and I do get nervous that I'll spell the name wrong because I can't spell. So Claire got me some post-its and said just get them to write their name first. But if it's like Dave or something, you're like, well, I should be all right. But you do get nervous, and then I end up in a bit of a mess. So not really. I did do a book event at Harrogate Library where there's 4 authors did a big chat, and that was great because it was unscripted and there's a few other people to bounce off, so I quite enjoyed that. But not planning on going to any of them. Wouldn't mind doing the Harrogate one at some point. That's massive, isn't it?
Do it.
I've never been to one, so
Do it.
maybe I'll
Just
go
do
to one first and then I'll think about being at one.
I went to Harrogate. I live way down south. I went to Harrogate on my own on the train, and I didn't know anyone before I went there, only by speaking to them online. I had the best weekend. I got home at 6 o'clock on Sunday evening. By 9 o'clock, I'd booked my hotel to go this year because I loved it so much. It's
I don't
awesome.
know how I go about getting in there as an author. I assume I just send them an email, but I'm sure definitely somewhere like that will probably have a who they're gonna have list. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
you can just
start.
attend anyway, and I think you get a badge if you're an author.
Yeah, I think there's one in Durham, and that's up the road from me, so I might Gatecrash one. You just put a thought in my head now, so yeah, I might.
Yeah, I mean, you can just go as you know. I'm helping to organise one in Stoke, which I'm not quite sure how that happened, but there we are. Then I'm going to Harrogate and Bloody Scotland and Capital Crime. Is that it? I think that's it. I was going to one in Birmingham, but that's been put back to next year. Yeah, I love them.
That is now officially on my radar. I think there's one in Newcastle, isn't there? Newcastle Noir.
Yeah.
I might go up there. I'll see.
I'll remind you. I'll ask you again because it's not till July. So you
don't really much. It's a bit weird, isn't it? I'll be going up there and never read any of the books, but yeah.
Everyone goes to Harrogate to drink, to chat, to drink some more, to chat some more. Nobody cares whether you read or not. They don't
Harrogate,
ask.
25 minutes from where I live, Harrogate. So.
Yeah. Well, then there's literally no excuse. You've got to go. It's just amazing.
Literally, I don't think you did there. There's literally no excuse. Yeah.
Well, I'm not hearing any good ones. So unless you're incapacitated by illness or death, then, you know, that's it. That's all I'll accept as an excuse.
If I'm not dead by the time it comes up, I'm going to get badgered day in, day out to go. I'll put it on my list. I'll see if I can make it. I will.
No, you will. It's a great opportunity to network. When is it? 21st of July or something, I think.
Oh, right. Time to work that out. My next book will be out by then. So.
Well, there you go then, even better. A lady called Anne Blockswich had her debut novel out. She wore T-shirts with her book on. She made other people wear T-shirts. She gave T-shirts out. Now everyone knows who she is. So shameless self-promotion, it worked.
And you don't get admins telling you off every 5 minutes.
No, everyone's there for the same thing. Drinking and chatting. Yeah. Literally it. Honestly, I promise you.
I'll take a shed load of books down with me, put them in the back of my car and just open it up.
Yeah. Well, you need to carry some around with you.
Yeah. I'll do that.
And then I'll come say hi, and then I'll come get them off you as well. So at least you'll have 2 sales. I'll buy one of each, or 3 sales because I'll buy all 3.
It's on down the road, so yeah.
See, the 3 sales guaranteed, sorted.
Super.
Totally worth it, right? Out. Yeah, it will be because I'll nag you. I add this service as well as interviews and reviews and stuff. I can also boost egos when you're feeling the imposter syndrome is getting too much, or nag to write and not procrastinate. You know, it's just something that I can do. So happy to help. Yeah.
I will make it. So my job is to bump into you in Harrogate. I'm on it.
You can hardly miss the pink hair. When people want to meet me, I'm like, I've got bright pink hair. Seriously, you can't miss me. Yeah. Anyway, who was your first celebrity crush?
Oh, probably not the first, but Jennifer Aniston was quite hot, wasn't she?
It is. Don't know how she manages it.
Yeah. Sandra Bullock, she was nice. Yeah, probably them. My wife's next door.
I know. You did say I could ask you anything.
Oh yeah, and she'll have loads of blokes anyway. She'll tell you about it. He's nice. Every time someone comes on telly,
Yeah.
she's met half of them because she used to work in Concord, so
Oh, nice.
she sort of met everybody who's anybody. You know, be watching a film and she go, "Oh, he's gorgeous, him," and it'd be who? Yeah, Al Pacino. He's a lovely man. I'm going, how the hell have you met Al Pacino? So yeah, I can remember my daughter once made a list of 3 pages of A4 celebrities she knew. Yeah, well, she didn't know them, but she's served them on Concord. Yeah, might write a book about Concord.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, so that's probably Jennifer Aniston.
If I were to ask your dearest and dearest what your most annoying habits were, what would they say?
It's quite a lot. No, she doesn't get annoyed that much. What does she get annoyed with me for? Not finishing anything I start, which I mentioned earlier on. She normally says that. There's a word I pronounce wrong. She corrects me when I pronounce it wrong. I can't remember what it is, but she does correct my pronunciation sometimes of the odd word. And I love football too much. Big Middlesbrough fan. And I'm 50. What am I now? 53. But I'm still trying to play football as well. I used to be quite a good footballer, so I'm hanging on to that. Don't want to stop. Then I broke my wrist then a few 6 years ago, and then she's like, "You're not playing anymore. You're too old." And I'm still hanging on to it. So that annoys her that I still play football. Yeah. In a good way. She doesn't want me to get hurt.
Yeah, that's nice. I just want us to finish above you in the league. I'm a Luton Town fan, so.
Oh yeah, you played well when they came up. You come to our place, or it might have been at yours on telly, but you're a good side, Luton.
Yeah, well, we got smashed at the weekend, but anyway. By Birmingham, they beat us 3-0.
I know they did. Yeah.
Bad times, but yeah, I know. But we can't afford to go up. They're saying a promotion push. It's like, well, why? We've got the shittiest, most horrible ground that we couldn't afford to make the changes necessary.
They're a good team, though. I like them.
Yeah. They're all right, I suppose. They're my local team, so I'm stuck with them.
Yeah, well, we're doing well. I think we'll go up. I think we just returned the corner with the new manager, playing brilliant football. Not seen it in 20 years, and it's all of a sudden it's quite nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you do. Where's the strangest or funniest place you've ever woken up?
Oh dear. I woke up under a pool table once in a pool club. I also woke up once in a nightclub toilet when they used to nightclubs close at 2:00, and this was 5:00. And as I walked out, there's a table full of about 6 people in suits with bouncers all around them playing poker. And I just went, sorry, I let myself out. Yeah, that wasn't great because I think there was a lot of money. There's so much money on the table. I was like, what? You know, if it was a film, it'd be like, go get him. Yeah. I think I was about 17 then. Yeah, that wasn't great. Lucky to be alive, probably.
Yeah. Well, they were probably as shocked as you were.
Well, they were. Did no one check the toilets? And I was like, no.
Oh, God. Well, you said you're working on book 3, so how close are you to finishing that? And then do you know what you're going to do next?
36,000 words in. I'm on chapter 16 of editing at the minute. I think it goes to about 21. So I've edited 3/4 of that before I can write the end of it again. And then my next dream off the dream cart was, so this is weird. It's about two brothers and a sister who ended up being left outside a fire station in baskets, and then they got separated because they were orphans. They didn't know who they were, and they ended up growing up in different lives. One of them was blind, one of them was deaf, and one of them was dumb. And then they don't know about each other, and then they end up getting pulled back together in this stately home used to be owned by this author, and the author was the biggest thing back in the 70s, late 60s, 70s, and then he's disappeared. No one knows where he is, but his estate's still there, and there's someone looking after it. And then they get these three kids in because they're all like 23, 21, 17 or whatever, and there's a portal to this fantasy world. So when the dad was writing all of these fantasy novels, he was actually living them and then coming back through the portal and writing them. And the reason he's gone missing is because he's stuck and being captured. And obviously someone on the outside knows that. So they get these kids together and they end up finding this portal. And I've dreamt all this. And when they end up going through the portal, their weakness here is their strength there. So they've all got like powers. They don't know that. And yeah, I've read fantasies because I've read Terry Pratchett, but I've never read any of these, Sarah J. Maas or anything like that. So I dreamt all that. So that'll probably get written by someone else now because I've just told someone all about it. But that's my next one. I'm off, and that'll probably have to be a series. I just think it'll be too big as a standalone.
Amazing. And I don't really like fantasy that much, and I want to read that like now. So
it's going to be called. It's going to be called Wise Monkeys.
Yeah, well, if you could, crack on and start writing that.
Well, I'll tell you one, but the girl who's I think deaf. I've got their names already. This is where I woke up at 3 a.m, did it all. The girl, all their names are Gaelic names for, like the deaf one is for hearing. It's the god of hearing or something like that. So all their names make a bit of sense. And she's at this sports college. She's deaf, which is at the sports college, and it's for Olympians. She gets paid. Mum and dad, who are who adopted her, they've sent her to this because she's quite good at sport. Anyway, she's good at horse riding. She's doing all that stuff, and they get this Olympic archer to come in, and because they're trying to find sports for them all, because it's like that type of college and really upper class. And she gets picked on because she's deaf all the time. And anyway, something happens to a horse, I think, can't remember, but I've written it down. And then what happens is, this is one of my favorite bits. They're doing the archery, and this girl said, "Oh, you've all got," and there's about 8 of them. And then the ringleader, who picks on her all the time, has got all her mates who are making her feel bad, and they're having a bit of a go. And anyway, they're just about to start, and they said, "Right, can you you've got 10 arrows, and you've got 10 minutes. Take a minute a shot. If you feel more confident, do faster than that." And they've had the how to do it, and she's not very good. She's just all right. But then they start having a go at her, and her adrenaline kicks in, and she's really, really angry. So anyway, when it says they're about to start, and she pulls this arrow out, and then this girl goes, stop the clock, because there's this wasp buzzing away near her head. We can't have this. So obviously she's the sport bitch, so they stop the clock and all that for her. So right, we'll reset the clock, and then she has a go at this girl the other end, and her blood's boiling. So then she just pulls the arrows out and she goes bang, 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 does 9 in a row. It's the bull. And then she turns around where all the people are doing their archery. They're in about their second go, and she just fires one through everyone's bows, and it hits this girl. It just clips a cheek and goes against the wall. And they're like, "Come here!" So she gets thrown out of the school, right? But as she went to go to the the girl went, "Do you see what she did? See what she did?" And she walked over and she went, "So I wasn't aiming at you. So what were you aiming at?" And then they look at the arrow and it's got the wasp. Kicked out for that, and the parents going, "Well, oh, come on, well, she could have killed her and all this stuff." So she's got she's got powers here as well. She just doesn't know that she can use them. So yeah, so that was why I was up till 3 a.m. writing all this stuff down. Yeah,
Sounds totally worth losing sleep over for me. Well, I don't have any more questions for you unless you think there's anything I haven't asked you that you want to tell us.
No, you've delved really deep into my life, I think. No, just yeah. If you see me lurking around on in your Facebook group, and not you, but everyone else out there who's going to listen to this, give us a shout. If you end up reading one of my books, and I'm not here to say go read them, but if you end up reading one of them, let us know how you get on. I think I've mentioned enough how nice it is for an author to know that someone's reading or read your book. Even if you don't like it, at least you've telling me you've read it. And it's, but yeah, and we don't bite, you know, we'll just come and chat to us. And yeah, I haven't got much else to say really, but I've really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's like a therapy session. Nobody paid good money for this.
So just before we go, would you like to tell everyone, or just remind everyone, where they can get your books and where they can find you if they so desire?
Right, so TF Lince is my author name, mainly because I don't like Trevor and I don't like Frank. So my mother lumbered me with 2 names that I couldn't do much with. So I wasn't trying to be J.K. Rowling. I just didn't like Trevor or Frank when I hear them said out loud. So yeah, TF Lince. They're on Amazon. They're exclusive to Amazon because they're on Kindle Unlimited. So if you're on Kindle Unlimited, go read some pages. If you can test it, try before you buy, can't you? See if you like it, and if not, get rid of it. They're on Kindle. They're on Audible. Got a great narrator to do them on Audible. And Room 119 is on hardback as well now. That's a new thing. Amazon beta, it's in a beta program, and it's gorgeous. That's the hardback version, and it's really, really, really nice. I was surprised at the quality of that. I will get Funicular out in hardback. I just want to see what the Room 119 looked like in hardback. If you do order it in hardback, or if that's your thing and you've got millions of bookcases, on Amazon, I think it told me it was going to be 14 days to get delivered because they don't do it in the UK yet. But when I saw the tracking of it all, it gets printed in Denmark, and it was with me in 3 days. So it's not 14 days. You know, it'll tell you that, but it's not. Yeah, and should have a new one out probably in about 4 months or something. And then while that's getting edited, I'm going to start this the new one if no one's nicked it. I haven't watched this.
They won't. Well, brilliant. Thank you very much for joining me.
Oh, and I'm on TikTok and Twitter and all over the place, so I'm sure you'll find me. I think if you put TF Lince author or Room 119, I'm sure you'll find me kicking around annoying people on other platforms.
Fabulous.